Oh man, today I get to introduce you to my friend Tyler. He is the CEO and founder of Lone Fur Creative, an agency that does a lot of work with tech and SaaS companies, but they're really niched into serving any sort of company with HubSpot needs. And in this conversation, we're talking about how to generate more sales, that their sales cycle's taking longer due to the economy, and what could they do to close that sales cycle and get more out of the few conversations that they're having, and then also what are some ways that they can generate some more conversations for new business. One of the things that I see on a repeat basis is that agencies are having some conversations, but they're still too few, and so they become desperate. And it's really easy to tell whenever you're desperate or I'm desperate for a sale because we're not having enough new sales conversations versus, hey, I'm having 15, 20 sales conversations this week. You're one of 15 or 20 calls that I'm having. If you don't want to buy, that's fine. I'll move on to the next. And just that lax attitude actually makes you more attractive. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. We also talked through some sales techniques and conversation pieces. Tyler is one of my favorite people for a variety of reasons, not just because he has lovely flowing locks in his middle aging years, as I myself do as well, but he's also just a solid human being, and I believe that all of you are going to get a lot out of this conversation. So let's get into it. Tyler, I am so excited to have you on the podcast today. I know we've been talking about our love for the Pacific Northwest and older or
Yeah.
aging men with long hair.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's always good.
So great.
And I know that you have this brilliant creative agency called Lone Fur Creative, and I'd love to hear a little bit about that, and then a little bit about the problem that we're going to be talking about today in sales in general. Just give us a lay of the land of where things are at with that.
Yeah, no, I love it. So first off, they're fun to have or fun to be on the podcast and fun to chat with a fellow Pacific Northwest native. But yeah, no, I've started a creative company, a marketing company about 9 years ago called Loan for Creative, and lots of different phases of from startup to making money and all that good stuff. But primarily, we serve B2B clients, kind of in the tech, education, and healthcare space, and oftentimes they'll bridge the gap between those ed tech, health tech, med tech, and all sorts. And then so that's kind of like our vertical niche, and then our horizontal niche is HubSpot. So we help build brands on HubSpot. So lots of different companies have their CRMs, their marketing platforms, their websites, their automation, all those different things. And HubSpot's a cool tool that actually does allow a lot of it to just be under one roof in one house. And so have developed an expertise on that over the last number of years. So, yeah, that's kind of us in a little bit of a nutshell. And then I know we wanted to kind of jump into, I love your format of your podcast, kind of jumping into kind of, tearing apart issues, if you will, or challenges
Yeah,
and looking at them from different angles. So I don't know what the best way to start with that is, but
it's okay, man. I got you. You're along for the ride, man. We got it from here. So, dude,
sweet.
walk me through because obviously, sales is such a lag measure, right? Like, it's the
Yeah.
final result that we're aiming for. Give me a sense how many, not just leads, but how many business development meetings are you taking with potential clients on a month average?
Yeah. Probably about 15 to 20 new business ops every month,
Awesome.
which is pretty decent,
Yeah.
I would say in past years, the sales cycle's been a lot shorter. So call it like
Yep.
25 to 35 days for a deal to actually go across the finish line.
Yep.
And then in the current year we're in, most of those have extended to kind of more like 75 to 90 days. And so just, simple math, that's kind of like 3 times or 3x. That means you need 3 times as many ops in the
Right.
pipeline to be able to kind of, do what you were doing from a numbers standpoint in previous quarters and years. So yeah, so that's kind of like our in a nutshell, but yeah, about probably 15 to 20 like sales qualified leads and meetings from those every month.
Sweet. All right. And how are you guys generating those?
Yeah. Um, Currently, a lot of them are referrals. So a lot of
Okay.
them are either word of mouth referrals, client referrals,
Beautiful.
different networks we're in. That's been, to be completely honest, that's been a little bit new for us. We
Oh,
generally
really?
have had most of our leads, like in the last probably 5-ish years, have come from kind of networks we're part of and different marketing efforts we're doing in those networks.
Yep.
And so those have just either a combination of slowing down, been overcrowded, I mean, several different variables I would assume to those. But so kind of just this referral side of things is not new entirely, but from what we're leaning into is a little bit new to rely on. So
Yeah. Okay. The ones that don't come from referrals, where are they coming from? Cold email outreach, LinkedIn.
yep, cold email outreach, LinkedIn outreach, and content.
Yeah.
I love that you diagnosed that well. We're starting to run some different paid approaches, primarily on
Cool.
LinkedIn, like retargeting stuff.
Yep.
And then others are often from like SEO. So we write a lot of content
Cool.
and rank for a lot of content for our own like kind of personal, or I mean our own brand as well.
So interesting study from HubSpot about the number of meetings you're taking in a month. So they found that if you have 50 or fewer, now they do this survey of 100,000 B2B marketers, B2B sellers, and B2B buyers every year. It's really fascinating data. And they coalesce some data from other places as well to kind of fill in some of their own. But it's HubSpot, right? Like they obviously you're tied into them. And one of the things that they talked about
Yeah.
was if you if you have 50 or fewer opportunities in a month, the average business to business company will not hit their sales goals for the year. In fact, they only have about a 7% chance of hitting sales goals if they average 50 or fewer in a month. Now, some of those could be very ambitious sales goals, so take that for what it's worth. But to your point of like, hey, I need to triple my opportunities in order to kind of maximize the numbers that I was hitting before, there's something to that. The thing that was really interesting was if you want to flip it and get 93% chance of hitting your sales goals for the year, it requires 150 or more meetings a month according to HubSpot's data, which sounds absurd, but it goes back to one of the things, Tyler, that just before we hit record here and started talking, I was doing another podcast recording with another agency owner, and we were talking through this exact same thing of like, how do I get enough opportunities that I can hire someone to do sales that's not just me? And then how do I find that person, train that person, all that stuff? So I think that you're in a spot that a lot of agencies currently find themselves in and have found themselves in the past. It's not a foreign idea to anyone. Okay, so you're generating 15 to 20 meetings that way. I know that you can get more bang for your buck as far as meetings go if you start to deploy some new lead generation models, but we're going to circle back to that. So before we come back to that, once you get a meeting booked, what's your process look like for closing the deal? First call, second call, third call. Just walk me through kind of what that looks like.
Yeah. So first off, I am jumping back into the sales seat because I have not been in the primary sales seat because we have had a sales team for the last couple of years.
There you go.
And so I can talk through kind of my process and then what it has been, and because we're kind of experimenting, a little bit right now with the current environment. So generally, somebody, if it's a referral and it's kind of a warmer lead, they're going to reach out and they're going to instantly they're going to book some time. So they're going to grab some time on one of our calendars, or we're going to go back and forth and iron out that date. We'll jump on a call and just kind of ask a couple questions just to kind of uncover if they're even the right fit. Like, are they a large enough company that even have a budget? Are they trying to do stuff? Or are they just kind of window shopping or tire kicking, So we call that like that fit call, that first kind of section. Some client or some prospects are going to jump straight through fit and go straight into discovery and really we can point them in the right direction in one call, and other ones are going to jump into another call. And I would say about 50% of our opportunities are jumping straight into like a lower ticket offer. So it's going to be like, basically, for lack of a better term, we're going to sell them some strategy right out of the gate.
Yep.
And it's going to be 30 days or less to build some trust.
Yep.
and 10 grand or less and an offer just like in that first month, just to essentially go, hey, here's the deliverable. Ideally, then that deliverable is going to be something where we high five, chest bump, you go your separate way, or we help you implement some of it, or somewhere in between. So that's kind of like half of the opportunities would go into that, really in that second call. So discovery, we're going to identify where you're at, and then it's going to be jump straight into a proposal from there into that lower ticket offer. And then the other side of the sales process is going to be more like that custom, like larger opportunities right out of the gate. Like, hey, this is what I need. This is what we're looking for. And so that can be a couple of different calls to really identify and present what we're going to come back with. And those are going to be larger ticket, 30, 40, 50 grand kind of things right out of the gate in a 90-day period. So
Beautiful.
I don't know if that makes sense. It's somewhere between probably 3 and 5 phone calls on average, depending on the size of the opportunity. So
Yeah, love that. Love that. Okay. So when they go through that, let's say that they do that first initial small project with you, do you know the numbers for how often those people transition to like a paying retainer client or doing a project with you guys that's bigger?
yeah, it's about 80%.
That's amazing. Okay. So, question, Tyler. Why not just sell that out of the gates 99% of the times?
In the last probably 3 or 4 months, it's shifted a lot, because I would say less people are interested in paying for strategy right now,
Interesting.
just based on kind of market
Yeah.
challenges, and they're more so just like tactically, this is what we want to do, jump straight into it.
Gotcha.
So they're just less interested in paying for that. Like, they don't want to wait 30 days to get going. These are the things they want to do right away. So
Right.
those have been not as those are more of like, hey, I'm looking for a vendor and I just need someone to be like that digital yes woman, digital yes man kind of thing.
Yep.
And that we're more like, hey, let's build a partnership and like work
Right.
towards the same common goal together, but we're actually going to get there, versus the tactical thing is kind of like that race to the bottom. So
Right.
I would say that's probably one of the main reasons, is just been less and less people are interested in, oh, well, if it's going to take 30 days to actually get a plan together, I'm not interested. I want to start tomorrow, has been the majority of the leads that have come through in the last kind of, 3 to 6 months.
Do you find that clients that go through that process get better results and stick with you longer?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's
Okay.
it's a drastic difference.
So I think that that's really interesting, brother, because one of the things that I've seen other agencies do with success is they go, listen, um, this initial engagement it costs X, you know. Um,
Mhm.
our best clients go through this process. Here's what I do for clients that do this process right now, as opposed to just diving right into a service agreement, is I will give you a credit of half of the amount that you spent on the first 3 months invoices, because we already did the work, or the first month, or the first
Yeah.
6 months, when you whatever you want to do to make that work for you financially. But I always make it like an incentive.
Yeah.
I go, listen, I know that, and I would even tack into, and this is what I would say if I were you, because I see that that's your win, man. Like, not only do you get some cash up front to do some strategy, it helps you have longer relationships. It's a lot more bite size. It's fast to deliver. Your margin on it is 100%, right? Because it's just time. It's not materials. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that's correct.
And so then it's like one of those things where it's like, all right, hey, listen, I know that you just want us to go do stuff. This is how I would say it. You don't have to say it this way. I know that you just want us to go do stuff. And I realize, look, our solution is going to take 30 days before we even are ready to get launched. And it's going to require some time from you. And the reason why we do it that way is because our solution is superior to anybody else in the marketplace. And we get better results for all of our clients that go through this process. So the length of time that it takes us to get to implementing is for your benefit, not mine. I could totally take your money right now and go execute on those services. You're not going to get the results that you want, and we're never going to get to the right place. So if you need that, we're probably not the best client, the best agency for you. And just telling them that, because what that will more
Yeah.
than likely do is people go, oh, damn, Tyler's just shooting straight with me. Like,
Yeah, totally.
whoa.
Yeah.
And if they're like, well, no, I just need somebody to tune up my website and HubSpot, and I need somebody to like optimize my email stuff. It's like, we can do all that, but like, I'm telling you, you have to go through this process, not because it's for our benefit, it's for yours. My benefit would be just to
Yeah.
take the $15,000 retainer for the next 6 months and go with that. But I'm trying to get you the best results
Yeah.
possible. So I don't know. That
Yeah.
may be a way to
No,
switch
that's
that.
good. Yeah. No, that's good. I think that like the pushback in some ways, being super confident in this in your results and in your outcomes, that you're like, no, this is, you have to stick with the plan, otherwise it's not worth doing business together, kind of thing.
Yeah, man, and I've done that a lot in my agencies, and it puts people on their heels a bit. And some people are like, "Well, then I don't want to work with you." And I'm like, "Great, thank God! Like you saved us both some time here, sweet." And then other
Yeah.
people are like floored. They're like, "Wait, okay, so you'd rather lose my business if I'm not going to go through the process that's going to get me the best results than just take the money that I'm going to give you, even if it's more?" Yeah. Well, now I seem disinterested in
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
that's what
Totally.
every client wants to hear, you know? So
Yeah.
circling back to
That's
uh,
good.
the outreach stuff, um, are you getting information from a database to target different people, or how are you finding users of HubSpot?
Yeah, it's a couple different things. Yes, on the database. And then on like LinkedIn, we do a fair amount of outreach on LinkedIn just to get conversations started. So it's not like, we're not doing the like, hey, book time with me, I've never met you, let's go on a date kind of thing. It's way more of a just asking questions.
Yep.
And the HubSpot user, like they've just been centered around HubSpot user groups. So we just are targeting HubSpot user groups around the country. And so there's probably, I want to say there's probably 30,000 HubSpot users inside of LinkedIn HubSpot user groups.
Yep.
And so we're reaching out and have made lots of different kind of campaigns around reaching out to those.
I love it.
So lots of conversations get started. I think one of the things that's been hard about that offer has been it is more of a tactical, like it's great to get the conversation started, but those people that want to kind of like, hey, great, I'd love to chat about how you can like increase your ROI or whatever that is, it is way more tactical and it's less strategic because they're already in the platform. They're kind of just, hey, can you build this thing for us? And it's a lot more of like like an ad hoc or like a break fix type of a model.
Yep.
So we get business from it. It's just kind of almost like it's like that reverse diamond, where it's like,
Yep.
we're in the tactical, we need to move our way back to the strategy versus the other way. And both work. It's just sometimes one of them is a little bit more time consuming than the other. So
And I almost wonder too, Tyler, if you could like productize the strategy element. Could you call it
yeah,
something? Like so you branded your agency Loan for Creative, which has a feeling and a vibe to it, right? And I wonder if you started to
sure.
brand it as something that, you know, um, seeing the forest for the trees, or I don't, like something that like gives a perspective of zooming out so that we can zoom in, and even
Yeah,
having like an example of that for a fictitious client or something that you can throw together and be like, this is kind of the things that we deliver. I even helped another client that said, hey, listen, if we'll do this thing for 90 days and it's 30 grand, and within the first month I'll come to your location, because they're an agency that works with manufacturing companies. I'll come to your location, I'll
yeah,
do an on-site visit for a day, I'll meet with your team. They always do that within 30 days. Sometimes it's 14 days after a signature, sometimes it's 21, whatever. And they said,
sure,
after I come out before the 30-day time period, if you don't think it's a good fit, I'll give you the 10K back. Because
yeah,
they're just like, listen, man, like when they take on a client, they know that it's going to be at least $180,000 in year one. And so he's like, look, if I do this
sure,
project with them and they pay me 30 grand and then I give them 15 grand back in credit over the next, 3 invoices, who cares? And if they pay me 10 grand and I paid, $700 to fly to their location and stay at a hotel, I don't care. If they don't want to
yeah,
work with me at that
yeah,
point, I don't want to work with them either. And I
yeah,
wonder if there's
totally.
something similar to that where you can like brand this and market it as, this is a product and we're going to look at the tactics as a part of the strategy assessment of what you guys are doing, and here's the
Yeah,
things that we would immediately implement.
yeah. That's interesting because we generally sell like are those kind of strategy packages. We've got like a customer journey map. So, you're essentially like
Beautiful.
mapping out for them because most people don't have a great map of like
Yeah,
what it
like
takes to actually like from pre-buyer to buy to afterwards even,
Yep.
and so we do that. That's an offer. We do a website blueprint, and then we do a HubSpot strategy. So it's like those are like three examples of like those lower ticket get in the door things.
Yep.
And I think it's interesting. It's like just that you're even suggesting like the shift in kind of confidence of going, no, this is what we're sticking to. This is how you get the best results as you jump into this. And
Why? I
then
mean,
we know a timing, because then there's like a gazillion jumping off points from each of those that we just know so much more about their business. So
yeah, man, and I feel like it's the land and expand model, which is really lucrative for the type of agency
yeah,
that you're running. And dude, like, I always just go, what would you want? Would you want
yeah,
somebody that's like, hey man, we'll do X, Y, and Z for loan for, and you're like, cool. Well, I need you guys to do this. And they're like, okay, we'll do that, and then you get bad results. Or you want somebody to be like, hey man, I hear you, I hear you. And the reason why
yeah,
it'd be helpful for us to work together is we're going to take you through this process to make sure that whatever it is that we're doing, accounting, finances, whatever, we're going to get you the best results if we take this path. Even if it's more labor intensive for you in the beginning, it's going to lead to less labor in the end, and better
yeah,
results. You'd be like, okay, I can suck anything up for 90 days. I could suck anything up for
yeah,
30
yeah,
days. And so I don't know, man. I think
yeah,
that you would want that. Just getting a vibe for you, Tyler. I'm like, this is what you would want.
yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it feels like that's a pretty solid offer. I think we're just kind of in that stage right now of figuring out how to ramp up, like you said, to kind of be able
Yeah.
to hit those sales goals, having to go, hey, if we're getting 20 to, 15 to 20 ops right now per month, and we need to get 50 minimum or 60 even to triple those, for just our numbers, not even looking at the HubSpot study data. I think that's kind of probably where we're at now, because that's, it's probably a couple hundred more leads that you're sifting through.
Yep.
And so that's just like pulling that lever when you've never had that. It takes quite a while to get to that spot.
It
And so I think
does.
that's we're experimenting with a couple of things right now. But
And I think that the way that you phrase the offer of like, hey, we're going to come up with a tactical and strategy roadmap for you to find success with anything in your HubSpot. That's going to get people on the hook right away. If they're like, oh man, there's money back guarantee. I also get a credit towards that. There may be just an influx in meetings, because I've seen this happen for our clients, man, at one of the agencies that I own, where we changed an offer. I'll just give a really brief story, Tyler. We had a client that was going from selling cannabis cake pops, like high-end cake pops in DC. They wanted to expand to the California market. They went and talked to my SDR agency, and they told them like, hey, listen, our best clients, they have an outrageous offer. You need to create one. And they're like, we're just going to give away free samples. They were booking 1 or 2 meetings a month because they were doing what everybody else does, right? And so finally they're like, okay, we gotta get more meetings. They're like, well, you should meet with Dave and come up with an offer. So we came up with 2, man. One was, hey, if someone signs on to be a wholesaler with you for the next 12 months, you'll do a co-branded billboard with them within a 5-mile radius of the location. The second one was, hey, we will bring a chef to your location. We'll put on an event. They won't make THC infused cake pops, but they'll make cake pops on location, and you can promote it to customers and say, hey, come hang out on Saturday. We've got a chef coming in. They're making cake pops. Come get some. They went from booking 1 or 2 meetings a month, this is real, to the month after we started running those new offers, they booked 19 meetings. The month after that, we didn't change any outputs, by the way. The month after that, they booked like 27. The month after that, they booked 34. It just went gangbusters, man. And so I think that offer tweaking is going to be the difference between you having 15 to 20 meetings and 50 to 75 meetings every month.
Yeah, that's good. That's super helpful.
Cool, man. Well, if people want to check out Loanfer, they want to check out you, where can they go to do that, man?
Yeah, so our website, loanfercreative.com, so LONEFIR like the tree, creative.com. And then I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. That's probably the best place to just engage with me, and love having like direct conversations with people. And either, if we're able to help, awesome, but oftentimes it's I'm pointing them in the right direction too if we're not the right fit. So love meeting new people. So appreciate your wisdom. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Tyler.